Good evening. I'm Dr. Peter KB St. Jean. Today is the 1st of October of the year 2019. I'm here at the Peaceful World Movement show named Shy Peace, a live show in the city of Chicago. You can reach us at 312-738-1060. This is going to be our 13-week series, and you can see our web, the Peaceful World Movement website, www.shypeace.net. You can see our sign here. Go to our website and you can click on the Shy Peace Show, and you can see some of the shows right here. The Shy Peace Show, you will be able to see some of our shows. We also want to remind you that we are here at PO Box 11451 South Michigan Avenue. Well, that's the address, PO Box 206308 in Chicago. And today we have a special guest. Well, all of our guests are special. So next week when we say it's a special guest, Gregor, I don't want you to feel a little bit off. So this is Dr. Gregor Tuswalder, who is the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences at North Park University, Chicago. I want to welcome you, Dr. Tuswalder, to our show.
Thank you, Peter, for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. And you cannot see her, but next week she will be right where Dr. Tuswalder is, and her name is Sarah McKay. Sarah is a double major at North Park University, double major in sociology and criminal justice. Sarah, are you going to bring a friend with you? Maybe she might. She said, you can't hear her, but she said she might bring a friend with her. So, we like to give the opportunity to give other people, different people an opportunity to have conversations with us. We have an interesting lineup. So, Dr. Tuswalder, Dr. Tuswalder, tell our listeners what it is like what is a dean? What is a university dean?
That's a good question. Usually, you hear about a dean when you're at college and you appear in the dean's list, right? Mm-hmm. But a dean is an administrator. A dean is in charge of an academic unit. In my case, I'm in charge of the College of Arts and Sciences, as you mentioned, which is 2 divisions at North Park University. We have the Division of Sciences and the Division of Haas, which is Humanities and Social Sciences, a total of 13 departments. And in addition to that, I also oversee the living learning cohort that we have, CRUX, but also our honors program and the core curriculum, which is the general education curriculum.
So, Sarah, on week 3, we need to bring in Dr. Whitham from CRUX. I teach with CRUX. CRUX is so cool. Do you know my students in CRUX call me Peter?
They do?
That's so cool. That's so cool. Yeah. And Sarah, we got to bring some CRUX students in here too, right? We had to keep some of them out there, right? Because 14 of them, we can't fit all of them in the room. We had to bring some CRUX students.
I think that's a great idea because they are great, and you teach them.
Yes.
That's a fantastic group.
I have never had students all apologetically call me Peter in class, and it feels so good. I always want to make a rule that you got to call me Peter, but then that would be imposing. It's just like saying you got to call me doctor, right? It's the same thing. Right. I don't want them to say it to think that they must call me something, but it's kind of really cool. So in case you guys know, I'm Dr. Tuswalder. In case my check is late, he's the person that I have to blame for not signing my time card. No, there are no time cards at the university. But because I am the chair of the Department of Sociology and Criminal Justice, it falls under the College of Arts and Sciences. Dr. Tuswalder is my immediate supervisor. So he's the one that gets blamed in case I do something wrong. Right? Is that what it means, Gregor? Kind of, sort of?
Sort of.
sort of, but not really. Or maybe there's another version of it. But I try not to get him to have to defend anything that I did as much as possible. But I'm also the chair of the criminal justice major in the School of Professional Studies. And Sarah, we have to bring in Dr. Laurie Cimenti as well, right? I know she has responded. I tried a few times. Not everybody likes TV, but Laurie probably wouldn't mind that I say this. But I will be like so happy. I'll be so energetic the day when Laurie comes, because there's 2 years I've been trying to get on the show. So hopefully we can get her here, because just talking about, we usually talk about adult education or adult learning, but in the School of Professional Studies, we're doing some very exciting things. And with this being a nonprofit university and this being a nonprofit channel, somewhere where we're not selling anything, we have nothing for sale except to give free our knowledge and our understanding. I'm so glad that we have the opportunity to be able to do that. Now, Dr. Tuswalder, because North Park is a non-profit organization, it functions as one. And one of the things that I have the privilege of being a part of is the formation of a board of directors. And I have been a university professor in other places, I have colleagues in other locations, but I never heard of a board of directors for a college. And maybe they exist. I mean, the business school has one, but I'm talking about the College of Arts and Sciences. So how usual is that, and why? Why develop one in the first place?
That's a good question. So 2 years ago, we developed that advisory board. It's an alumni advisory board for the College of Arts and Sciences. And it's made up, as the title suggests, of alumni. So we have a lot of enthusiastic alumni, people who graduated from North Park and are enthusiastic about the school, the experience that they had when they were students, and now they want to give back. And so an advisory board is something that you'll find at many universities these days. So there are quite a few business schools, but also colleges of arts and sciences that have advisory boards. And they're fantastic. Why? Because when you bring a group of alumni back to your campus, and we meet twice a year on campus, but we also meet virtually every other month or so. And we discussed certain things, and we have now 3 subcommittees. There's one subcommittee that's really devoted to fundraising.
Oh, wow.
They want to raise funds for the professors, for the students in the College of Arts and Sciences, which is great.
Yes.
But also another subcommittee is interested in connecting our students with alumni. So they can find internships, they can find work after college. So I think a network is extremely important too. And then the third group is really interested in enhancing our curriculum. What is it that they can do? Because they're professionals, they could be guest speakers. They could come to classes and talk about their experiences and also connect our students with potential employers.
Wow. Folks, if you're just joining us, I'm Dr. Peter K.B. Seja. I'm here with Dr. Gregor Tuswalder, the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences at North Park University, Chicago. We are asking, what does a dean do? And he's given us some ideas about setting up a board of directors. And the whole idea of the Shy Peace Show is to say, how do we contribute to a more peaceful Chicago? So what's ahead is that Dr. Gregor Tuswalder is going to tell us, well, when you set up a board of directors for a College of Arts and Sciences to help students and help professors, that's all good. But in the context of the city, where we're trying to improve quality of life, where we're trying to reduce violence, where we're trying to make people understand and feel that they're in a better place where they are or they can have a better future, how can the experience in setting up a board of directors help to the people in the city of Chicago who are trying to improve the quality of life? And I want to remind you that we are at a live show that you can call in wherever you are in the world. You can call in at 312-738-1060. 1060. And I want to remind you that you can also visit that on our website. And if you went to shypeace.net and you see the Shy Peace Show up here and you clicked on the Shy Peace Show, you will see the various shows that we did at 2018 here at CAN TV. You can go through and you can see the various shows. And if you want a little historical knowledge, if you want to see that the show that we're doing now is not the same show that Dr. Tuswalder did in 2017, you can basically scroll down our page. You can go down on our page and you can scroll down. You see Dan, you see Thaddeus James, and you see here Dr. Tuswalder. You can even know when he was there. I think the date is there somewhere. Oh, the 9th of... It's November 9th. It's like, well, almost 2 years ago, right? So so make sure you can visit our website at shypeace.net, shypeace.org, for this information. Again, please call us. We feel a little lonely already. Come on, show us some love. 312-738-1060. I also want to do a little shout out to our friends that already joined us live on Facebook, which we stream live on Facebook, and there are many. I can't call all of your names there, but you know yourselves. If you have any questions, those of you on Facebook, you can ask a question on Facebook and we can answer. Say hi to our friends on Facebook.
Hello.
Yeah, right.
Good to see you too.
Yes. Thank you so much. So tell us, what have you learned in the setup of the board of directors for the College of Arts and Sciences that can be useful with people in neighborhoods in Chicago who have nonprofit organizations and are struggling to be successful. You identify issues of funds, you identify issues of building community and identity, you identify issues of making your board of directors feel a sense of purpose in the organization. So can you tell us a little bit of what you have learned that can be metaphorically important for people in Chicago?
I think what's really important is for board members to know what they're supposed to do. I've been part of boards myself, and some have been fantastic, others not so much. And it usually has to do with the fact that board members do or don't know what they're supposed to do. So if there's a job description that people follow, then chances are the board will be very effective and successful in whatever they do. But if people are lax, if the chair of the board doesn't really know the direction they want to go in, then things become a little bit questionable. So my advice would be, make sure that in your bylaws, in your policies, you know exactly, you have written what board members are expected to do. And also, having board members work in subcommittees, I think is a healthy thing, because that way, there's accountability, you're working together in smaller groups, and you will get work done. So that's one of the things that I've seen in our board that is working fantastically.
No, that is interesting because, we have a destination, but there's a process. There's a way that we have to get to the destination. Leadership matters. In the military, I'm a veteran in the United States Army, and you say, well, whatever their problem, somehow it all comes back to leadership. I mean, you can almost always say when their successes probably comes back also to leadership, but
Right.
sometimes leadership is the one to blame, and sometimes the one to praise. We understand that. And you are a leader, and you are a particular leader. And we didn't get ready for this question, but that's what kind of happens in a live show. I've sat in the room with you sometimes, and your style is to be the leader that helps people decide, at least from my point of view. And at the end, it may seem like, well, maybe he should just tell us what to do, right? And I'm waiting to hear you tell us what to do, and you don't. And then we come up with this perfect mission statement, right, through the process. So we sat in the board, in the boardroom with the board, and the board is looking for us to tell them what to do. And although you say you need to tell the board what to do, I need you to tell us about the process of defining the board's direction in knowing what to do. Because one can assume that for the board members to know what to do, somebody has to tell them what to do. But the process is important.
Right.
So I want you to tell a little about the process, because I remember when we sat in the boardroom and we asked the board members were all looking at us, okay, you guys tell us what you want us to do so we can go out there and do it. And we were like, no, that's not why we brought you here. You're too smart for that. you guys got to figure out what you want to do,
Right.
and then tell us. And they were like, so tell me about this kind of leadership style, because I consider it to be effective. I've learned a lot from it myself. So tell me about using this process, because right now I think, I don't give many things credit for being perfect, but I think the way the board has unfolded is pretty close to perfect for what I think we need. That is my assessment. So, and I think that part of it had to do not just with the purpose, but the process. So tell me a little bit about the process of getting board members to understand the things you said they need to understand.
And I think, thank you for the compliment. I'm striving to do two things, and I think that they're really important: inquiry and advocacy. So it's, I think, easy to tell people what to do,
Okay.
right? That's a very direct approach, and sometimes I think that's important. But usually, it's much more effective if you ask questions. If you guide a group of people by asking questions, because you're inquisitive, you want to find out, but also at the same time you want to help them. You want to help them figure things out, right? You don't want to assume things. You may think you have an answer to a problem, but you don't know everything. And so if you go in and ask questions that help you understand what is really going on, that will help the group define what they really need, and then they will be empowered to see, okay, this is where we want to go. And I think that's really important. The advocacy piece is important too. Of course, you have an opinion, and And sometimes you have to refine that because your knowledge is well, not perfect. You have blind spots, and you have to keep that in mind. And so hold that back a little bit. I think that's important. So before you advocate for a position or whatever it may be, ask questions.
That's so important because I find when I sit in the room, and I try to do that in my own family, and I try to do that with the organizations that I lead. You know, my children have said, you know, why you why you posing the instruction as a question? Would you please bring me this water, as opposed to like bring this to me, right? Because sometimes someone, or may you please, or somebody say may. One of my colleagues asked me, why do I say may so much? I say I can say, can you bring this to me? Yeah, you have the ability, but do you have the will? So when I say may, it means do you have the ability and the willingness to do this, right? Do you feel like you should, right? And I think when we spend time and we talk to people as if they have intelligence, as if they have value, and we ask questions, it gives them an opportunity to say, because sometimes you say something and someone say, why do you say? I say, well, you asked, and then it's done, we're done, right? Because if you ask, that means you're looking, you believe that my opinion, my position has value.
Absolutely.
But if you just tell me, you know, you have not even considered my value. In fact, I got in a little bit of hot water over the weekend because I wrote a letter, an open letter to the leader of the opposition in Dominica, because we had this civil protests that were going on, and he used the term civil disobedience, and I know that it has a specific meaning among practitioners. So I wrote the open letter to ask for what does he mean by that, and what the people who are asked to get involved in civil disobedience, what they really mean by that. And I asked a lot of questions. I say, have you thought about if people show up, because civil disobedience is a direct call to break the law, so you can go to court to get to overturn the law. Or sometimes it could also be to disobey a practice, right? Which is not exactly the law. But the idea is that when we say civil disobedience, we are showing up to get arrested, to go to court, right? But there are other forms of protest, you know, the civil, you know, they're just the peaceful demonstrations, they're peace rallies and so on. You're not trying to get arrested. You're just trying to make it be known that you are against this particular thing. But I went through a series of probably 7 questions or so. I said, well, have you thought about if the people get arrested, do you have lawyers for them? Are there medical people, in case people need medicine? Are there people there? Who's going to carry the Kleenex? Because people will be crying. And if people go to jail and they're there for a while, you're doing this for many days, like, what do you have in place? And when you do that, what type of impression are you going to give of yourself? And how do you going to prevent insurgents from coming in and causing trouble to make it seem like you did something wrong? Now, I ask all of these questions, but in those questions, he had the ability to find some answers. And the idea is that if I just said, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that, I thought that would not be as respectful as asking the questions. The problem is that sometimes you ask questions and people still take it like you're giving them instructions.
Oh, absolutely.
We learn in the process. So how has that been working out in terms of, because I believe, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, that the purpose of us, the way we set up, because all of us were basically in the room with you and the environment that you have created for us to come with our own mission statement. So when you led the way and you asked the board to formulate themselves and they had to do it inductively, we all were able to follow your tune to not cross the line and try to suggest to them what to do. We all, when it came back. So now, how did that work? What's the reward of that in terms of how you see the board of directors amassing themselves?
Oh, I think it's fantastic. It's exactly what I wanted them to do, because I didn't want this group to be dependent on the chairs or the associate deans or the dean. I wanted them to become its own independent entity, and that we have succeeded to do just that. And I'm really proud of this group, and I'm really enthused by the energy that they have. They came not too long ago to campus and visited with the faculty, attended meetings, and it was really inspiring to see them interact with our faculty and work on the specific topics and issues. Very dedicated group, very smart group. I think we can be very, very proud of our alumni. Another thing that I wanted to mention when it comes to questions, there are of course many different questions one can ask, and some questions one probably shouldn't ask because you can appear as too pushy, as being too pushy. One thing I think is also that's very powerful is to include we in a question. So what is it that we can do,
That's important.
right? Because then the emphasis is on the group, and it's not on a specific person, and it's on all of us. So we're all contributing. And I mean, I'm not doing this because I'm manipulating people, but this is really what I think needs to be done. Because we are a group. When we work as, in the Chairs Council, for example, we want to get things done. We want to advance the institution. We want to move the institution along. So what is it that we can do?
Yes. Can you imagine, folks? We only have 5 more minutes, right? Because even if we start at 6 o'clock, it's 6:30. But we like to leave early. But 5 minutes give some room. So we have less than 5 minutes to have our discussion here. And remind you that this is a call-in show. You can call us at 312-738-1060. If you want to learn more about us, you can go to our website at www.shypeace.net, and you can learn about the Peaceful World Movement and our activities. Now, Gregor Tuswalder, whenever I'm still practicing your name. That's why I keep saying it.
You're doing it.
That's why I keep saying I can practice it. So, a dean becomes a dean, but you don't just show up at the university and become a dean. So tell me a little bit about the process, because we know we have assistant professor, we have associate, we have full professor, but also in the process of telling us for you getting there, you have some skill. You didn't get a PhD just in nothing, right? So what is your PhD in, and how does that serve you in your role as a dean? So tell us about the journey and then the value of your education to your job.
Sure. We only have a few minutes left.
Yes.
So long story short, I'm originally from Austria, but then I fell in love with teaching when I was in the States for a year, and I knew that is what I wanted to do, and so I became a professor of German and linguistics at a college outside of Boston, and I was there for 13 years, and I rose through the ranks and was a full professor, and then also department chair for 6 years. And I really enjoyed administration, and so I applied to the job that North Park University advertised, the Dean of Arts and Colleges position, and I got very lucky and was chosen, and I'm very excited to be at North Park. And so, that's still, I guess, the short story.
So now, what is your PhD in, and how does that help you serve?
Okay. Well, my PhD is in German literature, but I've always been interested in literature and linguistics, that is language and how language works. And so, in the liberal arts, you learn a lot about these so-called transferable skills, critical thinking skills, communication skills, leadership skills, and so forth. And those skills have really helped me in all the aspects of my job, and I think especially knowing language well, and the importance of language, what not to say, what to say, how to interpret language, written language, and spoken language, conversational analysis, discourse analysis. Those kinds of things have really helped me a lot.
Well, maybe we should have a show sometime, because I find myself as an ethnographer, as a social scientist, as the founder of Peaceology, I'm focusing a lot on the precise or understandable use of language, because knowledge creates information creates thinking creates feelings create action creates interaction. So sometimes just the way the information comes out and how we think about the information and understand the information, that can have a lot of ramifications for us having kind of better or worse quality of life.
Absolutely.
So it'd be really interesting. I was an English major as an undergrad, but I was an English and criminal justice major. But so maybe sometime in one of the future shows, Sarah, we may have to try to book Dr. Tuswalder to come back and talk to us about I would say linguistics, but about the use of language and what the use of language means for us to be able to create a more peaceful world.
Well, there's actually a subset of linguistics called sociolinguistics that I used to teach in my previous job, which is looking at language, that is the intersection of language and society, language and culture, and. So you talk about
sociolinguistics. Sarah, write that down. We're going to talk to Dr. Tuswalder about sociolinguistics. Folks, can you imagine? It is time. Sarah, it's almost time to wind down. How much more time we have left here? I think we have 1 more minute. Thanks for the 5-minute warning, Sarah. I don't know what happened to it. Well, folks, thank you for joining us. Can you believe it's time to get out of here? I'm your host, Dr. Peter KB Saint-Jean. Dr. Tuswalder, thank you so much
Peter.
for coming here, and we will see him again. Guys on Facebook, do you want to hear about sociolinguistics? I certainly want to learn about it. Sarah wants to learn about it. Omari in the back wants to learn about it. So we'll be back. Thank you so much for viewing. It is now October 1st of the year 2019. We'll see you next week when Sarah McKay will be our guest. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Good
Peter.
night.